the sound? Tapping. Hello everybody, Carlton Pearson. Feel this song and the lyrics and notice the thinker behind me and open up your mind to sort of soar like an eagle. Tapping.
Is there something that I didn't do right?
Is there something I didn't do right?
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to write.
Oh yeah.
You were tapping in the night.
Yeah.
Tapping all day long.
Tapping all day long.
You just won't hear sweet song. Do you just want me to sing again?
Do you want me to sing again? Do you want to hear a sweet song? You want to hear a lyric? You want to hear the musings? To amuse or muse, to think, to feel, to emote, to express in this next hour? Begin to embrace yourself and your soul and come with me on a little journey.
You are tapping on my heart.
You're tapping on my heart.
Tell me, what is the plan?
What's the
Tell
plan?
Me how to heal my mind.
How to heal my mind.
Tell me how to walk this land.
How to walk this land.
You're tapping in the night.
Yeah, tapping all day long.
Maybe I am the song of freedom.
Maybe I'm the song of freedom.
And my the voice of so many men.
So many men
And women.
and women
And children.
children
Who love one another.
were men and women
And children.
children
Sing for the rivers, men, women, and children who sing
Charles Holt.
for the mountain.
Yeah.
Women and children
Love this song.
who sing for the hungry. Women and children.
Women and children
Who sing for the dying. Children who care for all people.
care for all people.
Women and children, I sing for all people.
I sing for all people. I live for all people. I speak for all people. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That's my buddy, Charles Holt. Tremendous songwriter, tremendous vocalist. And if you want to know more about him, you can go as I think it's, what is it, at the very end here, www.charlesholtproductions.com. You can actually order this CD. It's called I Am. And there's a lot of other good music on here, good songs that come right after this. I mean, you just love it. I can listen to them all night. So anyway, welcome to tonight's live stream. For those of you who've taken the time to become a part of it and who are not watching television, as I said, somebody told me we're competing with Scandal, which is all over the country, a program that's attracted a lot of attention. Those of you who are TiVoing it, or you're watching it and going to catch me in the archive later, whatever. I just know that we have something to say, and we say it each week. Try to communicate to you a revelation of self and soul that I've experienced after 50 years of preaching the Christian gospel, which I still do in some ways, and approaching my 60th birthday and reconsidering a lot. All the countries who watch and tune in or who come to archives from the UK to China, really, the British Virgin Islands and Belgium and Portugal and South Africa and Germany and Ghana and Nigeria. Thank you for watching and tuning in and for your comments and your letters and your questions and those of you who are sending support. There are not huge numbers of you, but those of you who are, thank you. We need that support. I was hoping to come into this year with $50,000 of debt and obligations and taken care of, plus enough to start the new year. We're not even near that, but thank you for what you've done and though for what you will do. Those of you who will give just $10 tonight, or 20 or 50. For those of you who are doing reoccurring gifts automatically out of your bank accounts and using your bank card to go to the donate button tonight, thank you. At whatever time you're listening to this, if you're doing it in the archives later on in the middle of the day or the middle of the night, we need your support because we're building a global cyber community, a spiritual, diverse, radically inclusive community of what I call cultural creatives, sacred activists, spiritual progressives, people who are moving out of the traditions and are moving into the next realm of thinking and the next way of being. And we're coming. Everybody can sense there's a change. Many of you received my Gather the Fragments letter, and you're responding. If you didn't get it, it's because we don't have your email address, but we sent as many of them out as we had addresses for. And I was telling you that I'm gathering up the pieces, as Jesus said after he had multiplied the bread according to the scriptures and fed the 5,000 men, and not even including the women and children. He may have fed as many as 30,000. We don't know. If that, in fact, miracle took place or was allegorical, whatever the story is, he did say, gather up the fragments that none be lost. I'm gathering the fragments of my life. After many years of living in a certain mind state or state of mind, I have shifted in consciousness, but I'm gathering up the fragments, whether that's friends or ideologies or revelation, whatever. There's a lot that I fed millions of people, and they've eaten and gone. But I'm saying to my disciples, gather up the fragments, the leftovers, because they have virtue and value too. Whatever you are dealing with in your life that you're gathering, picking up the pieces of, might be a broken relationship, the loss of a job, the loss of a home, the shifting in some other aspect of your life. But don't throw it away. Nothing is wasted. Everything counts. All things or ingredients work together in concert. They are orchestral. All the instruments, all the sounds, all the rhythms work together in harmony and in sync or syncopation, in cadence as opposed to decadence, in cadence, in life, not death. They work together to create who you are and who you are becoming. Know that, feel it, embrace it, receive it, and say yes to it. When you say yes, the universe organizes itself around your yes. So send your questions and comments, and many of you are doing that. I get everything from, is the Bible the inspired word of God, in politics, to human sexuality or homosexuality. Just questions about life, living, being, or existing in this predictably unpredictable world. This predictably unpredictable world. They want to know about the end of the world, second coming, the rapture, the apocalypse. And remember, that doesn't mean bad things. It means revelation. There's light, apocalypsis, to take off the cover. Everybody uses apocalyptic to mean some terrible, disastrous catastrophes. That's not what the word means. It simply means revelation. People want to know about they ask me questions like, is Obama the Antichrist? Or is Carlton Pearson the Antichrist? Or the end-time false prophet? All those kinds of things. The beast, the mark of the beast. There's a lot of paranoia out there. There's a lot of superstition. There's a scripture that says, if it be possible, even the very elect would be deceived. If it were possible, insinuating that it's not possible that the very elect could be deceived. Now, that's just a New Testament scripture that people will use to talk about me, Christians, my beloved brothers in the kingdom and sisters. Superstition. There's a lot of people who superstitiously read the Bible, and they have this mythical faith, or faith in this mythical God, or even a mythical God person, whether that's Zeus or Jesus. They have this superstition. And superstition is like a widely held, this is the dictionary, one of the dictionary definitions, a widely held but unjustified belief in supernatural causation, leading to certain consequences of an action or event or a practice based on such a belief. Like, for instance, she touched her locket for luck, a superstition she had held since childhood. Or you could say she held her Bible for protection, good fortune, luck, a belief, superstition, she'd held or he'd held since childhood, whether it's a lucky charm or a scripture verse. There are superstitious beliefs, faith. Faith and belief, which means basically persuasion, is more powerful than reality, more powerful than knowledge, more powerful than truth. Belief often supersedes, overruns, or overrules knowledge or experience. Somebody could tell me that it's snowing outdoors, even though I just experienced that it isn't. But I will believe them, and that will become my reality. I know it's not snowing, but somebody told me it is, and I start believing that it's snowing, and my whole attitude may change. It may be sun shining and warm. The weather may be changing. Or somebody could tell me it's raining when it's not, or that it's sunshine when it is raining. It's based on what I believe. I respond to what I believe, not always to what I know. I'm trying to shift us in our thinking from just going by what we believe and try to find out or recover, if you will. Remember what you know, because you came here knowing. You came here to this plane or plan or planet or plant in the universe, knowing who you are. We forget between the womb and the tomb. We go through this spiritual amnesia. All humanity does that. And in that amnesia, we panic over stuff. I've been through, the only time I really panic or get depressed or frightened is when I forget that I am on a mission and I have permission and commission to be here. That I'm right in the flow of my destiny, of my calling, of my purpose. Regardless of what circumstances, what is the circumference? Or what's standing in a circle around me? Circumstances. What I feel circling me, the wagons are circling, that I'm under attack, or that's a paranoia that many people feel. We really have no enemies except in our minds. So what we're panicking about, or frightened about, or worrying, or depressed, deceived, if you will, about, is an illusion. You're okay. We're going to be all right. You got to believe that. Now, you know that inside, you know you're okay. And when anything suggests otherwise, it bothers you. Because deep inside, there's a sense of entitlement. Deep inside, there's a sense of knowing. Deep inside, there's another reality that embraces itself and reminds you of it. Then there are circumstances that are illusions that suggest otherwise. And that's the conflict in the deep recesses of consciousness, that we wrestle with what seems real but is an illusion or delusion, and what actually is, in that we're okay, we're fine, we're stable, we're secure as spirit. Then the human alignments come in, and we try to sort through them and make them harmonize with each other. And that is a important feat, an important challenge that all of us work with every day. I want to talk a little bit about biblical numerology. Now, again, if you believe in that, and if you don't believe in biblical numerology, what I'm going to say means nothing to you. And again, belief has more compunction and control of you or me or us than anything else. Not what we know or experience, what we believe. That's very powerful. That's why I always say to people, what do you believe about you? Why do you believe it? And how do those beliefs add to or subtract from the quality of your life? The thinker. This is, I think in the 1800s it was first in a small, designed in the larger one that's in Paris. I think 1904, something like that, was cast. But this is a man that is contemplating an inner struggle and an inner decision or intention, and he's thinking. That's me. That's you. I'm asking questions, answering questions, and then questioning answers. The issues of life. What is life? What is truth? What is reality? How does reality match up with what I experience, or what I suspicion, or what I suspect, what I respect or inspect? what I regret. These are interesting sort of philosophical, psychological questions and queries, and we all have them. We just sort of suppress them because we can't come up with an immediate answer, and then we get bothered. This is 2013, and I've been saying in biblical numerology that 13 is the number of rebellion and disintegration and revolution based on revelation. You get an awakening, bam, you know something, and then you say, okay, I'm not going to submit to this crazy stuff anymore. I'm breaking out of here. I'm breaking through. I'm breaking away from attachments that don't serve my best interest. That may be a relationship, that may be a job, that may be affiliation with a group or a church or a club, friends. You know, people are going to sense that this year, I believe, whether it's numerology or not. I just believe that the tension in the air suggests change, separation. You're going to detach yourself from things that have detained you, perhaps too long, or as long as they're supposed to. In biblical numerology, 13 and 8 are associated. 8 is the number of new beginnings. Separation, change. Change. 2013 is a time for new beginnings, and beginnings don't exist without endings of whatever type. So expect some closure, exposure, renewal. Last week's inaugural ceremony suggested as much. This is a very different kind of period than what we're used to. This whole era. This is not just an Obama presidency. This is an Obama era, and I'm not talking about a personality. I'm talking about a personification of change and challenge and choice, as well as chance. Something is happening. It's obvious. Notice the multicultural expression around the inaugural. That this is the largest inauguration. The first one, 1.8 million, they estimate. This one, right at 1 million. That's the largest first inaugural and the largest second inaugural ceremony in the history of the presidency. What's going on? And it's the first African-American president at that, whose middle name is Hussein. It's just, and he has a white mother and a Kenyan father. And he has a good surrounding support of Jews and some connection to Islam because of his father's association with it. And he has respect around the planet. That frightens some Christians because, oh, he's the Antichrist, so everybody loves him. You know, that kind of paranoia has eroded our consciousness as a culture for many, many years. Many, many Christians and fundamentalists are so afraid of the end of the world and the things I alluded to earlier. And I'm not in that camp anymore. I used to live at that street address. I used to live in that house. Suspicious and paranoid, end of the world. Jesus is going to catch me with my work undone, the second coming and all that. And, he's making a list, checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty or nice. Jesus Christ and or Santa Claus is coming to town. You better watch out. You better not, what is it? Well, better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Jesus Christ is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming. What's the difference? This whole fear. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you are good or bad. So be good for goodness sake. Oh, that whole mentality has dwarfed our consciousness and our thinking to this freakish paranoia. And it's been going on 2,000 years. At least. 2,000 years of entrenched, erroneous indoctrination that has paralyzed the thinking of so many people. And now I'm breaking out of that, and thousands are breaking out of it all over the planet. And they're now suspicious of us. So this is a very different kind of period than we're used to. We usually look intently for security and stability. However, in 2013, change rather than stability is in the air. Change, the risk of change, the vulnerability of change, the ambiguity, if you will, of change is in the air. Prepare to take advantage of dramatic shifts as they occur, because they're going to occur. They're beginning now. Prepare yourself for the predictably unpredictable and become and remain spontaneous. Don't get locked in. Don't get tied down. Where you are, where we are, is not a period. It is a comma. Some people put an exclamation point. there. I like to always put a little bit of a question mark because we don't know. We know and we don't know. We're not completely affirmed in a lot of things as far as the extemporaneous and the temporal or the existential, because we live in an organic culture, an organic consciousness. Organic means it's constantly shifting and changing and growing, being and becoming. That happens with relationships. They shift, they change, they evolve. Sometimes they revolve. It's like every month. There's 20 February is the shortest month, 28 days, but the rest of the year is either 30 or 31 days. Every month of the 12. So, and the weeks and the 24-hour periods that we call a day. You know, these are longer nights in the wintertime, the winter solstice. Longer nights, shorter days. So we have to get used to not seeing quite as clearly in the nighttime for a longer period of time. There's more questions because you don't see as clearly. You see at night, but not as clearly. The night light is not as bright as the daylight. So don't expect to see as clearly or as precisely or with such specificity at night or in the dark times as you would in the daytimes. They are natural. It is natural that the sun should go down as we revolve around it. It appears that the sun is going down. Actually, the sun remains. We just revolve around it. You know, that's science. So don't panic when you can't see as clearly. Embrace the conflict. Even embrace the darkness. And the night light, we call it the moon. That's where we get the word monasticism. Monastery. Moon day or Monday after Sunday. We love Sunday. A lot of people don't like Moon Day. You go back to work. It doesn't seem as clear sometimes. Ride with it. Roll with it. Prepare yourselves, again, for the predictably unpredictable and stay spontaneous. What do I mean by that? Spontaneity is a dictionary definition. It means to performed or occurring, whatever is happening, is performed or occurring as a result of a sudden inner impulse. A sudden, sometimes unanticipated inner impulse or inclination, and without premeditation or external stimulus. Something happens inside of you. You didn't expect it. You didn't know it was going to come. It just happened. This incredible rush of emotion. When's the last time you had a legitimate, sudden inner impulse to do something without premeditated plans or even preparation? Bam! It just hit you. You went a different way home or to work. Or you just said, let's go to a movie. Let's go out to eat. No, let's stay home. Let's take a trip. I'm not going to work today. I just felt like what kind of spontaneity? Are you in a rut? The same routine, same rut, to the point of stagnation. Expect that in 2013 and maybe succeeding years, there's going to be these spontaneous bursts of inner compulsions and impulsions. What does it mean to you if you have these or have never had them or don't have them? How does that affect you? Suddenly you have no interest in, or you have a great interest in doing something you've never done before. Does that startle you? What does that mean? Are you willing to take a risk and do something that makes you vulnerable or susceptible to or for possible failure, if you believe in failure? Failed, my kids say sometimes. That's failed, Dad, failed. You know, it's a funny colloquialism now. But some people are too careful to be dareful. We didn't come here to fit. We came here to stretch. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Get out of the rut. Traditions means things that have been traded down. They're heirlooms of consciousness that have been traded down. Before we had the written scripts or scriptures, we used to call it oral tradition. They teach you that in seminary, Bible school, of how the Bible came to us. Because we have no copies of the original manual. Manus is the Latin word for handwritten copies. We have none of them. We don't know where they are. They don't exist in our capacities. When it comes to the Bible, all we have are copies of copies of copies. None of the original manuscripts. Everything is speculative, conjecture, Sure, you can call it the inspired word of God. I call it the inspired word of man about God. Inspired means God breathed in Latin. That it's breathed. Well, I think my books are inspired. I think I have inspired sermons, inspired teachings, inspired songs. Songwriters are inspired. Even secular songwriters and artists feel inspired. The gentleman who came up with this thinker, or Donatello's David, or Michelangelo's artistry. I've been to St. Peter's, the Sistine Chapel, and in Rome. I've been to St. Peter's Basilica. I've looked at the frescoes and the great paintings on the walls and on the ceilings. I've been to Jerusalem at least 12 or 15 times, planning a trip 2014. I hope you'll go with me on it. An inclusion, peace, interfaith tour to Jerusalem in the spring of 2014. Write it down. You'll hear more about it. I talked to one of my rabbinical friends, Rabbi Levinson, about him coming. Rabbi Barkley out in California, Mark Barkley. And I have some imams, some Muslim, Islamic imams. I have some Catholic friends. And just, we want to go and visit holy spots for the sacred spots for the Christian, the Jewish, and the Islamic church, and then go up to Haifa to the Baha'i Faith World Temple. Fantabulous place. We have one here in Chicago, Baha'i Temple. There's so much that I'm expanding and expounding on, and I'm growing, and I'm loving every bit of it. And I'm feeling this spontaneous burst of emotional impulsion and compulsion, this incredible rush to do and be and experience and express something different. Now, what's the difference, if there is, or the connection to fate, destiny, and free will? Fate, destiner, day to intensity, to stener, to stand with intensity, destination. And then where does free will come into it? Where does choice, juxtaposed to chance, come into? And what about fate or faith? Fate is the development of events beyond a person's control, regarded or determined as supernatural. You think that fate, that some supernatural presence or purpose is guiding you. Many people, millions, feel that. Some sense nothing, except on occasion, that maybe fate or faith, destiny, purpose, some higher purpose is controlling their lives. And then they decide, based on free will, whether or not to concede or comply with what a direction they feel their life is going in, or they oppose it, or align themselves with it. Alignment, designment, designation, significance, signs, assignments, designments, resignments. Sign is the root word there. Signs, signals, signatures, significance. We're all searching for significance for why we're here. Why are you who you are? Male, female, bisexual, transsexual, homosexual. Why are you black or white or red or yellow, your ethnicity or your nationality? Why are you married or why are you single? Why are you a parent or why are you not? Why are you in the profession that you're into, the particular denomination that you're affiliated with? Scientology, Mormonism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, its various aspects, Catholicism, Protestantism, Pentecostalism. Why were you born? Why are you under the influence of the parents? Did you choose them? Did they choose you? Did they say you're mama, your daddy's little accident, we didn't expect you, and you came last, and you've been feeling like you're an accident ever since? Or were you born outside of your parents' wedlock? Are you adopted? Are you a foster child, or were you? You were not raised by your biological parents or your birth parents, but by your grandparents or godparents or an uncle or an aunt or an elder sibling. All these things figure into who you are being and becoming. We're all evolving. A lot of that happened, we think, by chance in a pre-incarnate reality. And I love to use the scripture in Jeremiah, and I like it in the first chapter of Jeremiah where it says, before I formed you. I've always been intrigued by that. I knew you. God supposedly speaking to the prophet Jeremiah. Before you had physical form, I was intimate with you. I knew you. I knew you by observation or designation, by seeing, perceiving you, by creating you. Before I formed you, is that just for Jeremiah? Did God know all of us pre-incarnately, before we're incarnated or in flesh in these human costumes or human frames, this human wardrobe, this fleshly wardrobe? Before I formed you, I knew you and called you. Is that just for the prophet Jeremiah, or is that for all human beings? That we were known in advance, and that possibly entered covenant and contract and agreement with creation to come to this planet, or this plan, or this plane of consciousness, or this plant of reality. Hug a tree. I advance and push this plant-based, non-violent food substance that relates to and is in harmony with my human being as an herbivore, rather than a carnivore, eating flesh, meat, ripping and tearing. The acids in my body, the hydrochloric acids, are not strong enough like carnivores, like lions and alligators, and to eat and digest and dissolve flesh. So when I eat meat, there's more belching, and there's more indigestion, and there's more burping, and there's more sluggishness, and the heart beats, and the body is more tired trying to digest that. But if you eat plants, I've been eating all lettuce and fruits and grains and seeds this month, and will continue throughout, because I'm getting further and further away from meat, carnivorous appetites, the vicious anger of tearing and ripping. And I'm not denouncing and denying anybody what you want to do, but I'm just saying, for me, and I'm encouraging you to consider your eating habits, because you are what you eat, what you think, what you speak, what you believe, and what you know. What you believe about yourself becomes your reality. So I'm resting better, and I'm exercising more, and I'm coming up on my 60th birthday, and so I'm thinking about life. And somebody sent me a video on Facebook. Dr. Jim Shelton, who was my professor in systematic theology when I was at ORU, sent me I forget what birthday it was for Oral Roberts. He and Evelyn had been married 36 years. It was his birthday party. I was hosting it my freshman year of college. And I remember that blue suit I had on that I had just bought it. It was cheap, but I put it on layaway. I couldn't afford anything more. And the night that I had to host this whole thing with the whole student body, it ripped just before I got in this place. And I took a handkerchief out of my pocket, and I kept my jacket buttoned so nobody could see that these brand new suit. I just bought it, but it was cheap. And it ripped. My thighs were too fat, I guess, and it tore. But I went through the whole thing. I saw in that video Jim Moore, the millionaire who multimillionaire today, who bought my building to keep it from going into foreclosure when everybody walked away 10 years ago, and I had to leave Higher Dimensions in Tulsa. I saw him. I saw one of my old girlfriends that I went with for 10 years on that, a beautiful young lady whom I still love to this day. She was a dear friend. But that was 30 years ago, but I went with her for 10 years. I saw her in the audience. I saw friends, some of who are now have transitioned. They're gone. Including Evelyn and Oral Roberts. And Richard, who now lives in California. It just brought up so much for me. But I thought about destiny. All that was part of my life. It's part of the journey, part of my soul's journey, part of my self-expression and self-experience. I experienced an aspect of myself then. And I was spontaneous and remained that way because I was so intrigued with the future. I never knew what it was going to be. I wasn't so careful. I took risks. I was the first in my family to go 1,500 miles away from home to go to college. 18 years old. Had no scholarship, had no money. Came to town with maybe $30 in my pocket or something like that. Actually, no, Bishop Blake gave me, Jay Blake gave me $100, and my parents gave me a little cash, and I might have had a couple of $100 in my pocket when I got to Tulsa. I didn't know one soul in the entire state. Only knew Oral Roberts from television, whom I'd seen a few times. But I knew I was to do it. It was sort of a spontaneous move. I was very vulnerable because I didn't know even what to major in. Wasn't sure what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a doctor, wanted to major in philosophy. They didn't offer that at the university. In psychology, they didn't have it at that time. So I majored in biblical literature, English Bible. I minored in theology and historical studies. I love the scriptures. I take them very seriously, just not always literally. I think it's more important what Jesus said about God than what the church says about Jesus. I have expanded consciousness. I've always had elements of it in my life. I've always been an inclusionist. I just didn't know that terminology or use it. You come here, all of us come here on a mission. We have permission and commission to come to this planet. Before I formed you, I knew you and called you. With that awareness, consciousness, comes a spontaneity. Because you don't know everything. What I mean by that is you don't remember everything. Deep inside of you, you came here with marching orders. It was like a chip from your divine source and self, in a computer chip inside your spirit, inside your being, that is dictating to you in your consciousness what you should do, what you should say, how you should be and become, how we should evolve. It's happening right now. All things really do work in concert. They all work together for good and for God. So fate, some supernaturally determined influence, I believe in that. I also believe in destiny. Something that is destined to happen. Something that's destined to turn out or to act in a particular way, that all things are just working around me. I'm trying to be more conscious of that and do things more deliberately and by choice and cooperatively. So I'm not taken, stunned. You can live at such a level till nothing surprises you or startles you. It's fascinating. Things fascinate you and are intriguing to you and are fresh and vibrant and vibrating into, through, and around you and as you, but you're not caught off guard. It's like inside you say, I knew that was supposed to happen. Wow. It's like I remember that in a kind of a deja vu. I've been having those a lot. I did this before. I said that before. I thought that before. I was that before. I am that now. I'm repeating or resonating, resounding, resaying, reseeing, and receiving my present, my purpose, my now, my isness, my authenticity, my authorized being, my authentic self, my original self. That's what it means. Authenticity, originality, essential, essence, immutable, immortal, immediate, immeasurable. You, the Spirit. What's the difference between or connection to fate, destiny, and free will? Choice, chance, fate, destination, destiny, to stand with intensity on purpose and on point. Do you know in the scriptures, Greek New Testament, the word sin most prominently used is not hamartio, which means to offend, but it's hamartano, which means to miss the mark or to miss the point. We all do that. We just miss it sometimes. We misperceive or misinterpret a certain reality, and that causes us to panic. It's not failure. You just reassess it. Many times I'm driving along and I miss a turn. I just go back. Sometimes you can't make a U-turn. Sometimes you have to go 3 or 4 intersections before you can turn around. You can't turn immediately sometimes, but you can turn. See, a curve in the road is not the end of the road unless you refuse to turn. Just turn. Deal with it. Don't panic. Don't freak out over it. Manage it. I'm working on a book. I think I'll title it, You're Not in Trouble, You're in Transition. Somebody sent that to me in a Facebook message, and I liked it. And it's dealing with the disciplines of making, managing, and mastering change, transition, transformation, translucence, being light. You're the light, the translucence of the world, the illumination of the world, of the cosmos, of the cosmetic makeup. You're one with everything. We all are. How do we deal with what we believe, what we speak, what we say, what we know, what we express, what we expose, what we experience or experiment with? All of that's powerful. All of that's important. And all of it's a part of who we're being. So what's the difference between or connection to fate, destiny, free will? So we're having a frank and open discussion about the mysteries of human existence, change, chance, choice. My assistant in her Facebook today, Michelle, somebody sent her this and she sent it to me. I love it. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be. Douglas Adams said that. I don't know if he's the originator, but that's the name that was on her Facebook, and she sent it to me. I may not have gone where I intended to go. Have you? Are you where you intended to go? But I think I've ended up, at this point, where I need to be. I'm seizing the moment. I'm not where I'm going to be. I'm not what I'm going to be. I'm evolving into that. But all things are working together. We're going to work and walk through this thing consciously. And with a certain amount, not always cautiously, but yes, consciously, carefully, cautiously, consciously, comfortably. Be who you are. Embrace who you are, and even who you are not. Don't be so paranoid about what isn't. Study what is. I like always to ask myself, what's working for me? What's working for you? What's working on you? What's working as you or through you? Or what isn't working for you? Sometimes the list of what isn't working is longer than the list of what is working for you. You ought to sit down sometimes, take a minute and think, okay, what is working for me? Are my relationships working? Is my marriage or my boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, is that relationship working? My job, my profession, my career, my ministry, my associations on the job, is that working for me? How am I doing physically? How's my attitude, my mental attitude? How am I flowing emotionally? How am I flowing devotionally or commotionally? What's happening? Now, mind you, at my age, I'm very conscious of time, tone, tuning. I'm a little bit more deliberate and intentional about my anticipations, what I think should be or I should be or become. I'm not sure I'd be that sensitive to it had I not made this shift in consciousness, because I had it pretty secure back in Tulsa with my church and my membership and my place in the community, the religious community and the social community and the domestic community in Oklahoma. I've been there 40 years. I have 40 years of root and fruit in that city. I have now some seniority there. I'm in Chicago. I've only been here going on 4 years. I'm still the new kid on the block. A lot of people knew of me. A few actually knew me, personally. Few still do. And I don't know very many people intimately. I don't have long relationships that have, stood the test of time like I do in Oklahoma and in California, where I was born and lived the first 18 years of my life. But I keep hearing people, preachers and televangelists and others, alluding to inclusion, saying things that would basically could be described as, if not defined as, expanded consciousness. A lot of preachers are saying things that are a little bit less traditional or a little bit more edgy or on the edge. People are awakening. People are adapting to the change. I was sort of amazed at how many times during the inaugural the speakers referred to gay people or partnerships or something you would have never heard in a president say, or a person offering an invocation. One of the preachers actually offered that in prayer. There were several references all the way throughout the whole day. And you had religious leaders there, and you had political leaders there, and social leaders, and sort of cultural icons were there. What's going on? It's pretty interesting. Even today in the news, Secretary Panetta signed in a policy that allows females, women, to be active in military combat. They could actually be on the combat lines like men, fighting in the trenches and foxholes with guns. And they served the military for many, many years, back from the days when they were only nurses. And now I'm not demeaning that, because that's a powerful position. We need those nurses. There are now male nurses, female nurses, of course. The roles are changing. The rules are changing. This is a new world. There are new rules. There are new roles, even in ministers. I mean, sometimes the reason I wear this little hoop. First, I wore a little diamond stud. My wife said, I told my congregation in Tulsa, you'll know your pastor's free when he comes in with a little stud. I always thought that was cool. Back in the days when I used to watch pirates wear earrings, and in the ancient days, the men wore the ruffles and the more decorative wardrobe than females. And in the animal world, it is the male that has the lion that has the long hair. The male species, fish, fowl, or animal that is more decorative because he had to do things to attract the females. Strut, where the turkey with the big plumage, or what's the other bird of paradise? Peacock has the more beautiful plumage to attract females for procreation, not just recreation, but procreation, to reproduce the race. And it's interesting that the roles are shifting and changing. There was a day when you wouldn't have heard of a female doctor or lawyer or judge or congressperson or senator. There are more females in the Senate now in the history of the American legislature, congressional legislature. So roles are changing. You got men doing jobs that women would only do, and women doing jobs that males only did, or men only did. That's changing. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of evolution. There's a lot of revolution with revelation, that it's okay. Even I struggle. My son and I, my 18-year-old son, were discussing women in combat lines. I personally struggle with that a little bit, because I'm still have a little bit of the old school, although I'm Mr. Expanded Consciousness and Mr. Inclusion. I still have issues that deal like that. Like, what's a woman doing on the front line in combat? She should be a nurse, or with the internet, or doing something softer and gentler and less threatening. There are millions of men that are going to struggle with that. A few years from now, nobody will even think of it. Same with nobody thinks about a male nurse as much anymore, or a female doctor anymore, female police officer, or parole person, or fireman, or firewoman. African Americans succeeding in things like tennis and golf, which we didn't hear of as much in the past. Those were sports relegated primarily to white men. And now you have Serena, the Williams sisters. And now today another young African American, I think she's African American, a young black girl who beat Serena Williams in the Australian tennis, whatever they call it, Open, I think, or something. It's like, wow. Swimming, tennis, golf. That when I was a little kid, you didn't hear blacks being proficient in those sports, just football and basketball. Everything is shifting. Are you ready for this? Can you handle this? Because this is just the beginning. There's a certain amount of spontaneity. Now, is that fate? Is that destiny? I think it's part of what is supposed to happen. I choose to embrace what's happening in the universe today. I choose. When I sat and watched the inaugural, this is the second inauguration of the first African American president. I don't want to get into the race thing, but it is something that we as a culture, as a people, just didn't expect to happen in our lifetimes, and yet we thought about the possibility. My dad's 86 years old. He's astounded. My grandparents would have loved to have seen this. Because I used to stand in the kitchen and walk beside my grandmother, where she had an apron on when we were living in Southern California, in San Diego, and we'd see the dogs and the fire hoses hosing down black people in the South, falling in the street, women and children included, dogs biting and nipping at these people. My grandmother would stand there with her hands on her hips. She was born in East Texas, and she remembered that kind of racial discrimination and prejudice. She would shake her head and say, That's all she'd say. I never actually heard her say anything verbally to denounce or deny it. She would just go, And I'd look up at her and look at that black and white television in the 50s and 60s in the living room as the civil rights movement was happening. As a little boy, I remember seeing JFK's funeral, and then the next month, 2 months later, my grandmother's funeral, who watched President Kennedy's funeral with me. And then at the end of the 60s, Martin Luther King's, Pope John 21st, Bishop Mason in 1961. I mean, I was confronting with death as a little kid, with shift, with change, history. And now, after seeing the hoses and the fire hoses and the dogs in the South, and now seeing Martin Luther King, who was assassinated in 1968, now seeing his monument standing tall and proud in the same mall, near the same mall where his great speech was preached, I Have a Dream, and then Barack Obama being inaugurated the second time with the largest crowd of a second administration. Only 17 presidents, I think that's the number, have ever had back-to-back 2 terms out of the 44 presidents, either 14 or 17, something like that. Amazing, just absolutely amazing. I get excited about the possibilities of the shift in consciousness, of this new reality, and I'm embracing it, and I'm looking at life. And even though I'm in the last half of my life, I'm still excited about these huge possibilities. And the first Sunday in February, we moved from out south to a loft down here in the South Loop of Chicago, moving my church service on Sunday afternoons. I don't even want to have the normal church service. We're moving to a loft. We'll attract, we think, more diverse congregants and more youthful congregants. And there's a pastor there, Dr. McMillan, that's already meeting, having 3 services there. We're going to come in at 2:30, and there's some steep stairs, and we're going to have to work through that with our older, more senior members whom we love so much. There's an elevator. Might have to use a couple of wheelchairs. But we'll move up there on the first Sunday in February, Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to have a potluck meal and invite our people there and eat. And they've got screens in there to watch the game. And I'm not a big sports buff, but I love people. And so I'm going to eat and fellowship, and we're going to worship that morning. And I like Dr. McMillan, Sean. He's a brilliant speaker. And I said, we're basically going to be the 4th service of that in that building. But I just want to do something different. I talked about this little hoop here. I don't want to look like the normal preacher. I don't want to be, I'm bishop. I'm a little duly consecrated through apostolic succession, because the bishops, some of them who laid hands on me, one of them was Charles Blake, the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ, Bishop Earl Polk, John Mears, Bishop Quandre Wilson. Many of them are gone. 3 of them actually were in line of apostolic succession. They had actually had hands laid on them from the Vatican. So I'm in apostolic succession. I have all the vestments. We'll put that on our site, the consecration. There were probably, 10,000 people who observed it the day that I was duly consecrated to the bishopric. And people call me Bishop Carl. When are you going to see a bishop with bling on? I don't want to be categorized as just the normal cleric. I want to be different. I want to feel different. I want to express myself different. And I'm not really afraid, but I don't want to be common. Anything. I want to be uncommon, because we live in an uncommon world. Yes, communion, common union, I believe in that. But I don't want to get locked into tradition, religious traditions, and institutionalization. I want to be free, and I want to be a freedom fighter. I don't even like to use the term fighter, but I want to be a change agent. And at my age, I feel youthful, I feel ambitious, I feel the energy of the shift in consciousness, and I'm ready to go to the next level. And I'm hearing that tapping as we come to the close. I feel the tapping. I feel the turning. I feel the shifting. I feel these words that Charles Holt sings. And I'm ready to start all over again. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I have ended up today where I need to be. but I'm still moving. And I hear, as the thinker would say, tapping, tuning, toning, exploring, investigating, excavating, interrogating, asking questions.
Is there something that I didn't do right?
Is there something that I misinterpreted?
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to know or that I've forgotten?
Something that I need to
Something that I need to make right?
You were tapping in the night.
Yeah. All day long. I hear it constantly.
Just want your sweet song.
You want to hear a sweet song.
You just want me to sing again.
Maybe you just want me to sing again, say again, see again, feel again, be again. Whoa. Come on, Charles Holt.
You were tapping on
Come on.
my heart.
Why don't you take in the next couple of minutes? We're almost finished.
What is
Hug
the
yourself.
plan?
Hold
Tell me
yourself.
how to heal
Be
my
yourself.
mind.
Feel
Tell
yourself.
me how to walk this land.
How do I walk this land?
You were tapping in the nighttime.
Even in the nighttime.
Tapping
All day long. That's where I am right now.
And the song of freedom.
Song of freedom.
And my voice of so
Charles Holt.
many men
So many men
and women
and women,
and children
love
one another
and who love one another, family, culture, men and women and children.
and children
I like
who
this.
sing for the rivers men,
Fate,
women,
destiny, choice,
children
election.
who sing for the mountains. Who sing for the hungry.
I like this.
Come
on. Feel it. Be it.
Who sing for the dying man.
It's swelling.
Who care for all people.
Care for all people,
Children.
inclusively.
I sing for all people.
I sing for all people. I speak for all people or to all people. Thinking and feeling you. Singing, seeing, loving you. You're tapping on my head.
Must be something that I'm doing.
It must be
right.
something that I'm doing right.
But more that I need to know.
But more that I need to know.
More that I need to
Other
write.
things I still need to work on.
You're tapping in the nighttime.
You're tapping in the nighttime.
Tapping all day long. Maybe you just want to hear a sweet song.
Feel it? Come on, feel it.
You want me to live again.
You want to live again, sing again, be again,
Live again.
live again, live again,
Maybe you just want to hear a sweet song.
think again,
Do you
reconsider.
want me to heal?
Heal again. Hear a sweet song. I like that. Come on, close your eyes and think about it. Feel it. Please let me hear from you tonight. Go to that donate button and send something, anything. Nothing is too small. 5, 10, 20. Let me hear from you. This is a very pivotal time for us. I need people to stand with me. If you think this is worth your time, you think this message, this commission, this ministry this minister is worth your time, if we have a place in the universe, and I believe we do, then please send your support. Do what you can. Use your bank card, push that donate button, and become a part of this incredible expression of light and life and love. Elevated consciousness. Think, feel, be. I love you. Carlton Pearson, streaming consciousness. I'll see you again next time. God bless you. Good night.